giving you guys an explanation of what's going to happen on the podcast today. So, main topic towards the end, we're going to be talking about Mobile X and my predictions of how I think that Mobile X is going to work. In fact, we are also going to be talking about the Duo and Google Meet merger. After doing some research last night, I was able to kind of get some more insight on it. Kind of going into the Pixel 6 hype, starting to see some videos pop up again about people now loving the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then kind of just give like a shout out to Google Allo. It's been a while, but yeah, lots of things going into the Google graveyard. So yeah, let's get this live stream started. Give me one more second. Hold on. All right, yeah, that was a botched freaking beginning, only because my other mod died, so I had to go put the other one on a charger and grab this one real quick. But hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in. We got some cool things to talk about today. Hey, what's up to Gene? Thanks for being in here, and also thank you for the $5 super chat. Even though like I hadn't even started yet, but I appreciate it, Gene. Thank you so much for being a supporter, member of the channel. You are awesome. All right. Yeah. So the Mobile X stuff I'm going to save for later because it's going to be pretty much like the long topic of it. And as more people join in, I want them to be a part of that and I have to catch the replay. But if you didn't get to catch the live stream at all, enjoy the replay and hashtag replay crew. So I know that, you watched today's podcast. We are talking about Mobile X predictions. What I predict how Mobile X is going to be. So let me just make a full disclosure and disclaimer here. What I say about Mobile X doesn't mean that I have insight on it. It doesn't mean that, I took a sneak peek at what's going on. Don't take it as gospel. Don't take it as, like if when it launches and it's not what I say that it might be, don't come at me and be like, dude, you were totally wrong. Okay. This is just a prediction. This is just what I think it might be. Or might be like, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We're gonna be talking about Duo and the merger with Google Meets, and it's kind of weird how it goes. But I'll explain more about it. Pixel 6 hype and Google Allo. So let's go into the Pixel 6 hype because this might ruffle some feathers. But I've noticed this, and a lot of content creators on YouTube are starting to post videos that they put their primary SIM back into their Pixel 6 Pro or into their Pixel 6, and now they're thoroughly loving it and enjoying it. And it's like, it's been what I said, how it's been all the time. it's always been that Google Pixels get better over time. So for some reason, the launch is always kind of botched, but then it gets better. Like there's bugs, there's battery issues, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on with Google Pixel phones when they first come out, but then they tend to get a bit better. So that's like like it is what it is. I'm not calling out content creators to say anything bad about them. I mean, today you feel like this, tomorrow you feel like that, right? No one's perception of things stays exactly the same. It always tends to change and evolve. And it's just kind of cool that I'm seeing more creators finally giving a chance into a device. And that's what I feel like what happens, right? Is like they first get the phone, they unbox it, they review it, they find some things wrong with it, and then they let that overweigh their judgment for a good length of time. And they go on with other things like Samsung. And it's always pretty much in that pattern. They kind of revert to Samsung or revert to Apple. And they're like, oh yeah, I made the best decision moving away from the Pixel 6 to the Apple iPhone 13 or the Pixel 6 to the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. It's like, it's always that. And then months and months and months and months goes down, and they look at their desk and they see the Pixel 6 just kind of sitting there, and they're like, oh, I wonder what it's like now. And so they put their SIM inside of it. They kind of play around with the phone. They start to hit all those good Pixel features that Pixel phones only have, and it just hits them in remembrance of like why the phone is such an intelligent phone. And then they go and they make a video on YouTube talking about, oh yeah, I know I said some bad things about the Pixel 6 like 4 or 5 months ago, but now I have nothing but good things to say. And it's like, you kind of laugh. And I think this is what breaks the trust between the everyday person and the tech content creators. This is what breaks the trust, is because 4 or 5 months ago, you gave it a bad rating. So they kind of like trusted you. So they steered clear of it. And then now they see you post this new video about the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. And they're like, oh, I wonder what you have to say about it now. And they go in there and then they hear you all hyped up and happy and amped up about the phone. And then they're like, wait a minute, I was going to buy that phone, but I didn't buy it because I trusted you. And I know some people are going to have the cliche statements like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't be putting your faith in content creators. You should be, thinking for yourself. And while that may be the case, some people do, in fact, put their trust in content creators and hang on every word that they say. What up, Sneed? What's going on, man? And so that's the Pixel 6 hype in a nutshell. I just wanted to kind of point that out in the beginning of the podcast, smaller stuff leading into the bigger stuff. Yeah. So towards the end, we'll definitely be talking about Mobile X. At least my predictions, Sneed. I'm going to tell you my predictions of what I think how Mobile X is. And that's that. On could be wrong. All right, let's kind of move into the Duo merges with Google Meets now. So here's the thing. It's not technically Duo merging into Google Meets. From what I was able to find out, Google Meets is the one being killed off to a degree. So Duo is staying, and they're taking the conference style, group video chat, and they're merging that from Google Meets into Google Duo. So Duo is going to stay. So once they merge those features from Google Meets into Google Duo, then they're changing the name of Duo to Meets. Hashtag Googly, because that's a Google move right there, right? That's something that leaves us all kind of scratching our heads like, okay, what are you doing, Google? Like, what's happening? Wouldn't it just make more sense just to take the best parts of Duo and put that into Google Meets if you're going to keep the name Meets? But no, that's not what's happening. And I said this all along. Like, I've been following the Google messaging platform for such a long time, and I've been giving so much insight and so much feedback that I feel like it falls on deaf ears when it comes to Google. Because like when Google had Hangouts wasn't all that great. Like, I saw the potential in what Google Hangouts can be. Like, I was down for the all-in-one messenger app. I guess I was also kind of like an asshole in the sense, because I never really understood people's confusion when Hangouts was going to become an all-in-one messenger, how there was carrier supported SMS, Google Voice supported texting, and then Google Chat, and then video calling, right? Like I never, because I was able to pick up on the differences, right? If you're doing carrier SMS, then the message bubble or the message in the message thread underneath your icon or your profile picture, it would have a gray SMS bubble, which stood for carrier SMS. If it was blue, it was Google Voice. And if there was no bubble there next to your profile icon pic on the chat, then it was just Google Chat. Hangouts was horrible. I hated it. Yeah, like a lot of people didn't like it. Well, there were people who didn't like it. There were people who absolutely loved it. I saw the potential of what Google Hangouts could be. And all-in-one Messenger was something definitely in the, that could have been great if Google had executed it properly. Like, I wouldn't have minded to have like 3 tabs, you know what I mean? I think that's what would have cleared up a lot of the confusion too, is because everything was kind of like consolidated into like one list of message threads, right? And then like say like, me and Sneed were having a conversation and I had Sneed's phone number in my contacts. When I opened the thread, if I had messaged him from my carrier SMSing, or if I messaged him from Google Voice and just regular Google Chat, all those would be in that thread. But like the ones that were from Google Voice will have a blue bubble underneath the photo icon. Carrier SMS would be gray bubble, and then no SMS, no Google Voice, just straight out, Google Chat would have no bubble, right? That was confusing. So I get where people were confused there. For me, I was able to understand it. So, because I follow it, I was able to understand it. But not a lot of people are like me, and I'm not the standard for everybody. So a lot of people got confused. So I always told them that they should have made like a 3-tab in the Hangouts app: carrier SMS, Google Voice, Google Chat. And then people would know where they were chatting and how they were chatting. What's up, Eric? What's going on, man? Good morning to you. Alternate reality. What's up, man? Marquez Pixel Height Pattern. Yeah. So, with that being said, I've always wanted them to, like, the way that they did video calling on Hangouts was horrible. It wasn't great at all. It didn't matter if you were on Wi-Fi or if you were on your mobile data connection. The video calling was just atrocious. So I always thought, when they released Allo and Duo, I always thought that they should have just made that video call icon on the top of Hangouts. They should have just made that auto launch Duo for video calling, because Duo did way better than Hangouts in video calling. It is doing really good today. It's kicking major ass today for what it is. But it's something that I would have felt like that should have just kind of been like, like how it is right now. Like if you have Google Chat, in the Google Chat app at the top, it has a video icon. You click that, it actually launches Google Meets. Meets is okay if you're going to do like a business video conference style type stuff. But for like that atmosphere of just having a one-on-one video call without the business in it, it's not present in Google Meet. So I see why that they're going to merge majority of the features that makes Meets popular, especially with businesses, to merge that into Duo. But of course, they don't want people to like that on the business side to lose faith in it. So they're going to rename it back to Meets, which is just weird. And Meets and Chat both come from Hangouts. Google tends to just throw so much curveballs in so many different directions that it confuses a lot of people. I mean, Gene said it. I hated also Meets and Voice. They were confusing. Google Voice is totally separate. I don't know if you're referring to Hangouts, but Google Voice really has no implementation into Hangouts at all whatsoever. Google Voice has always been standalone as a service from Google, and it's just basically what it is. It's a VoIP phone service, and it's free. Right? This is how a lot of people can get, like I've told people the most cheapest and easiest way for you to really have, like phone service and stuff like that is to go Google Voice. If you're in an area where there's a lot of open Wi-Fi, you're golden, right? You just have a phone, just have it, Wi-Fi hop in areas, and you have Google Voice. You pay nothing per month to have, calls and texts. Go to Google Voice, right? Google Chat is now in Google Workspace email, correct? Google. Okay, so chat and meets is in Gmail. It doesn't have to be Workspace, because I have a Workspace account from the company that I work with, so that's totally separate. Workspace used to be G Suites, which was Business Enterprise, so that's moved away. It's just been renamed as Workspace. But chat is not something that you can only get if you are in business and stuff like that. You can be a regular, Google account and get access to that. But they have chat and meets involved. What's up, Mike? They have chat and meets integrated into Gmail. And that would be cool too, because that's less applications you have to have on your phone and taking up less space in your internal storage. The downside to it is that with Gmail, chats and meets does not notify you on the fly, right? Like I've taken off Google Chat off my phones, and if someone was to post in the chat thread that I have on Google Chat for tech, if any of you guys that are a part of that thread posts, I won't get notified until I open Gmail, and then all of a sudden, boom, the notification pops up that there's a new chat message. So I have chat, the actual app itself, downloaded, so I get those notifications on on time. And Google's just weird like that, because they always move things around. They always integrate things that to me kind of don't play well together, right? Like chat and meets is not going to play well with Gmail, even though it kind of seems like it, in front view, oh yeah, chat messaging, email messaging, they should go hand in hand. No, they don't. They actually don't. People use chat totally different than email. There's not a lot of people today that use email as a messaging thread. And believe you me, that used to be a thing. People used to email, and then they would build on that email thread, right? So you would have that one email, they would reply, you would reply to their reply, and it would build a message thread. And people used to do that with email. They don't really do that anymore. They use instant messengers. That is just more of a clean type thing. Pops up Google Workspace. That's weird, because when I launch Google Chat, it does not do that at all. Hold on. Let me close it out completely so it's not running in background, and then it just shows the Google Chat icon. It doesn't show Workspace for me. In Gmail, I don't know why they would do that. Actually, I don't have chat integrated in my Gmail anymore. I have Meets. Meets is integrated there, but not Google Chat. But it's not just a Workspace thing. So just because if it is showing you that doesn't necessarily mean that you have access to Workspace. Workspace, that's a pay per service type thing. So like the company I work for, they pay for access to that, which is why I have access to Google Currents, which was formerly Google Plus. And I'll tell you guys right now, Google Plus today is a freaking ghost town. There's no way to interact with other people, right? Now, let's say Mike or even Sneed, they both have Google Currents, which is formerly Google Plus. Say they have it because they have access to Workspace, right? If Sneed was to post on Currents, aka Google Plus, I wouldn't be able to see that because I have to be in his Workspace in order to see his posts, right? So everything that I post on Google Currents is actually just Carvana eccentric. So only other members of Carvana that have a profile on Google Currents will be able to see what I post, which there's not a lot of people at my company that even know about it, so they don't even use it. I tried pitching that idea to them, hey guys, we actually have a social platform. Currents is for Workspace users, so we have something that's similar to a Facebook, so we can actually utilize that. And some people are starting to now, but not everyone's hip to the fact yet. I.e., the way that I see it and the way how they're doing it, they're taking the best parts of Google Meets, they're putting it into Google Duo, and then once they're done doing that, they're going to change the name from Duo to Meets. That is the plan from Google. Duo is actually not going to the Google graveyard. Google Meets, the original, which was known as, what was it called? So the chat one was called Hangout Chats, and the other one was called Hangouts. Oh man, I can't even remember. It's not Hangouts Video Call. What the hell did they call it? Oh yeah, Hangouts Meets. Duh. That's what they called it. And those two apps were pushed into Google Workspace, and then they've opened it back up to public, and then just changed their names to Chat and Meets. And yeah, now it's gonna get changed again. So crazy as it is, But yeah, Google needs to stop doing this. Like when they finish this little merger thing they're doing, that's it. We had enough. Because like Google Allo was a great messaging service from Google. I really, really, really liked it. And I seen what they did. I think they used it today. When I look back at it, I think that they used Allo as like a beta test for what they were going to do with Google Messages or Android Messages and RCS, right? I feel like that's what they were doing with Google Allo. That's why it didn't last very long, and that's why it was killed off. Like a lot of people were screaming for SMS carrier support with Google Allo because they literally wanted that to be like their messaging app. And that got tossed away. Now, there was some things from Allo that never made its way into Android Messages. One of them was themes. The themes that you had in Google Allo were awesome. I loved using them. It was just crazy. It just made like the atmosphere just much more chipper. And yeah, I mean, everything else like the live animated stickers and the regular stickers, you find those in Google Messages, in the Google keyboard. You can use them there. So you still kind of got that stuff. But the other things is like, you know, like, why didn't they just incorporate that into Google Messages? Hell, they could have merged Google Messages into Google Allo, killed off Google Messages, and then renamed Allo into Google Messages. Kind of like what they're doing with Duo, right? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that, like especially those in the replay. And we're about to touch in Mobile X right now. Gotta calm myself down, like my ADHD is kicking in. Okay, Mobile X, created by Peter Adderton. If you don't know who he is, the founder of Boost Mobile. Okay, Boost Mobile before Sprint bought Boost Mobile. Right, so you can imagine him and Richard Branson going back and forth back in the day, Virgin Mobile USA versus Boost Mobile, before both were picked up by Sprint. But anyways, Peter is an eccentric guy. He's really cool. If you're not following him on Twitter, I would suggest so, just because he makes some good points in his tweets when he calls out other companies. And he is, without a shadow, like someone who is kind of disrupting the telecom industry, in, you know, with the things that he says. And he's bringing in what's called Mobile X. And it you know, to some people who hear about it that are not knowing, that don't follow the telecom news, don't follow mobile technology, hearing Mobile X is like a generic name, right? It's like something that you would see in 1989 Batman, when the Joker is going through the aisle with the Joker products, and then he grabs that dude in a chair that's all taped up, and he's like, "Uh-oh, this guy's been using brand X." And it's like, that's what I think of when I hear Mobile X. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Let me know if that comes to your mind as well. But I see what Peter's trying to do, and he's trying to change, you know, the options that we have. If you guys didn't catch the podcast, Best Phone Plans, I think it is. It was Dennis and it was Sneed, and they got a really awesome opportunity to pick the brain of Mr. Adderton and get some insight on Mobile X. And I was like out my seat in excitement when I heard Peter say that he would bring Sneed and Dennis on to beta test Mobile X. So they're gonna get real in-depth first view out of our community, first view of Mobile X, and know what it is. And I'm sure that the reason why it's going to take a couple of weeks to get them set up is I'm sure there's some sort of like kind of like an embargo that they have to sign. NDA. They have to sign it. More than likely, they're going to have to sign an NDA. They cannot talk about Mobile X's features. They cannot show it. They can test it. They could have insight to it. So by the time that Mobile X launches, which Peter said would be probably September of this year, when they start doing their review coverage of Mobile X, they're going to have a few months of insight to unload on everybody in video after video. So I'm super excited to see where that goes, right? Like, we have a lot of things that's changing in the telecom industry. We have Boost Infinite coming, and the ideas of what, you know, Dish wants to do with it. Boost becoming a postpaid, right? You still get Boost Mobile, which is prepaid, but you know, the postpaid side is going to be Boost Infinite. And the new logo and everything kind of says it all. It's got the little infinity logo with the two O's in Boost. So you have that, right? So we have a fourth carrier, and then we have Mobile X, right? And what are the things that we know about Mobile X? Well, one, it's a part. They partnered as an MVNO under the Verizon umbrella, right? So they're using Verizon's network. It's a global phone service. So I feel like that Mobile X is definitely directly competing against Google Fi. And I'll explain why here in a little bit. And it changes the way that we think about how we shop for mobile phone plans, right? And he said it in the live stream when he got his chance to speak about as much as he could for Mobile X without giving anything away. And you can tell he's not worried about us knowing about Mobile X, because of course we're going to know about it, but he doesn't want competition to rip his idea. What up, Baby Yoda? What's going on? He doesn't want any other company to rip his idea. So like I said in the very beginning of this podcast, what I'm saying here about Mobile X is not gospel. So don't take it and say, oh, Tito says it's going to be this, because I absolutely have no clue what the model is for Mobile X. I just have like a prediction. I have an idea, and there's a great chance that I'm wrong. There's a small percent chance that I'm right. Who knows? Well, there's certain people that might know and they can't say nothing, so they're not going to validate what I say here either. So this is what I think that Mobile X is going to be doing, right? So we hear that we hear them focus on about that we're paying too much because we're in fear that we're going to have data overages. So we've been conditioned and brainwashed to shop for an unlimited plan that we don't have to, calculate data, and in fear of doing overages, right? Okay, so I guess everything is going to be based on it's metered, right? Like a per gigabyte consumption, you pay by per gigabyte type of thing. Okay, I get that, right? So I'm like thinking to myself, well, you have Google Fi that does that, right? $10 per gig. You have companies like Ting. You have companies like what's the other one? Tello. You have all these different companies that charge by the gigabyte, and then there's what they call fully unlimited. You have those. So then where does Mobile X stand away from those when it's kind of like gearing towards that type of service? And what I'm thinking is I'm predicting that phone calls and texts are going to be a very, very, very tiny part of the equation when it comes to how you're charged per month. And I feel like you're going to be charged by the data rate. But I think there's like 3 tiers to the data rate. This is where it makes Mobile X different. If I'm actually right about how they're going to do things. So we have low band, we have mid band, we have high band 5G, right? As I heard him mention the differences, like he mentioned millimeter wave, he mentioned low band 5G, right? There are differences in it, right? So why would you pay $10 for 1 gigabit of 5G data if in one point you are connected to low band and in one point you are connected to millimeter wave? Does it make sense? Some people will say, yeah, they should just charge it the same rate. Doesn't matter what. But, think about it like this, like gas prices, right? You have 89 octane, you have 91 octane, you have, I think it's 87 octane, right? So 87, 89, 91, right? Do you pay the same price for either one of them? No. Right now in my city, it's like $473 for 87 octane, right? So it's like $553 or $543 for 91 octane, right? There's a difference there. And I think that's the idea that Mobile X might be doing is like, if you are connected to low band 5G, hypothetically speaking, maybe you're only going to be paying $3.50 per gig of low band, right? Once you hit mid band, maybe they're going to charge you $5.50 per gig that you use. If you hit millimeter wave, maybe they're charging you $7.50 per gig. I think that's like the type of model they might be going for, because you are going to be paying for what you use. But I know that they're not going to be like charging you up the butt for data connection, right? And it just wouldn't make sense for them to charge $10 per gig of data if other companies are doing the same thing. And what stands them away from them? You know, so I think it's going to be like a low pricing, and it's going to be based on the data connection that you are connected to. If you're connected to LTE, I think it's going to be like $1 per gig. Like, why not? That would be absolutely cool. Some people will say, well, that's just too confusing. Well, you know, like he said, it's not going to be for everybody. And, you know, if you tried out Mobile X and you wanted to leave, there's a portal that you use to leave. They make it easy for you to port your number to another carrier, because then their services is not for you. This is for the people that want to save money and but don't want to be constricted with data consumption to save money. Like, of course, if you're going to be doing a lot of mobile gaming on your phone online and everything, you're using like, you know, 4 gigabytes per hour. So yeah, it's not going to be for you. But if you're the person that's just on Twitter, on Facebook, watches a couple of YouTube videos, listens to some YouTube music, things like that, not, you know, goes to a 9-to-5 job, so your phone is in your pocket majority of the time, you're only really pulling it out for emails and text, like, then Mobile X is going to be great for you. You're going to be paying for what you use. And I'm thinking that's what they mean by you're going to pay for what you use. It's not just like, you know, I'm just going to pay $10 per gigabit. I think you'll be paying for what you in fact use. If your city does not have N77 at all, then what's the point of charging you for mid-band connection if you don't even have it, right? If you're on low band, then charge you at a rate for that tier. I think that is what I think they're going to do with Mobile X, which is a good thing. And then the big thing here, the reason why I say that it challenges Google Fi directly, is because Google Fi works in 170 plus countries without the need of additional add-ons or anything like that. Mobile X is global. It's not a US carrier directly. It is a global carrier. You can use Mobile X in another country. And as he said on their podcast, when he was speaking with Sneed and Dennis, he said, why should you pay United States rates per gigabyte for data when you're in France or you're in Europe and it's cheaper there, right? So if in France, for 1 gig of high-speed data, let's say converted to US dollars, it's $3.75, then that's what you will be charged when you're in France with Mobile X connection. I think that's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. And that's where it directly competes against Google Fi. Because while Google Fi doesn't charge you an international rate, you are paying what they ask for here in the US. So if you're on the Unlimited Plus plan, you are paying $65 a month for the unlimited talk, unlimited text, and 50 gigs of high-speed data slowed down after crossing 50 gigs. With Mobile X, there is no limitation. Yeah, I get that. So Gene brings up a great point. You want consistent pricing for cellular service. I love my unlimited cell service. I hate tracking every gigabyte. And see, that's the thing. So like, yeah, Mobile X is not going to work for you. Like, the thing about it is, and here's something that's going to like make your guys' minds expand here, but every company that steps into the telecom industry doesn't need to follow the same model as the next company, right? You have Boost, Cricket, you have Metro by T-Mobile, you have Visible, you have Verizon Prepaid, and they offer a quote-unquote unlimited service, right? And that's what Peter was talking about. Like what Gene just said right there is how the companies have, in his words, brainwashed all of us. They've brainwashed all of us into thinking that there's these overage charges and stuff like that. You know what I mean? When exactly his idea with Mobile X is that you pay for what you use. So let's say, hypothetically, let's say Gene is on Metro by T-Mobile and he's on the $65 plan, right? He's paying $65 a month and he's like unlimited data, right? Which seems good. Seems like, yeah, I don't have to worry about it. But let's say like we actually calculate Gene's usage of his phone. And let's say like his calculation never even comes close to 10 gigabytes per month, right? But let's say at home, he decides to connect to home Wi-Fi. At work, he decides to connect to home Wi-Fi. So the actual mobile data that he's using is 10 gigs. Okay. And let's say, hypothetically speaking, I'm not trying to like say that Mobile X is better than any other carrier out there. I think they're having a great idea on what they're about to do, but we'll have to see how everything falls into place when they launch. But let's just say, hypothetically speaking, because Peter's talking about people paying for only what they use, but it's not going to make sense. And his business is not going to thrive if he's doing $10 per gig, right? So let's say he decides with the contract that he's signed with Verizon to use their network that you're paid 23 cents. You're paying 23 cents per gigabyte that you're using. Okay, 23 cents. 10 gigs would be what? $2.30, right? So if that's the case, then I'll ask you this. Is having an unlimited plan at $65 make sense to you and make you feel good when you know that you could only be paying $2.30 for the amount of data usage that you use in a 30-day span? Let's throw that equation, because your mind is already programmed to think they're going to do $10 per gigabyte, because that's what Google Fi does. That's what every other, MVNO and prepaid carrier does if you do it per gig rate, right? And then you have other ones that are like $15 for 2 gigs, $25 for 4 gigs. Like, we've been conditioned to that because that's the only options that we've had, right? However, what if your phone bill could be $2.30 a month? And let's say you've tracked your usage and you have been consistent at 10 gigs a month, and it's 23 cents per gig. It's $2.30 you're going to be paying per month. Like Mike says, I'd rather go with Visible and go cheaper, $25. Okay. But see, at the example that I gave, okay, now again, this is not their pricing, right? I could be totally way off, but I'm just saying, just for argument's sake and playing devil's advocate here, if I only use 10 gigs per month because I'm connected to Wi-Fi in most places that I go to, so I never cross 10 gigs. I always hit about 10 gigabytes per month of actual mobile data usage, and my bill comes out to $2.30. I would have to disagree with Mike and Gene. I would rather take the $2.30 a month phone bill than paying $25 to $40 for unlimited or a $65 unlimited plan just to have the sake of I don't need to worry about my data. Because Mobile X is not wanting you to worry about your data usage. Okay, what their goal in mind is for you to pay less than what you're paying right now for Boost, Cricket, and Metro by T-Mobile. Now you have to think about that statement there. If they want you to pay less than them, that means that the baseline here with all of those 3 companies and their unlimited is $50. Okay, let's take out the premium unlimited plan or the plus unlimited plans, and let's just focus on the flat bottoms for those 3. It's a $50 plan. Cricket's got one, Metro's got one, Boost Mobile has one. $50, right? So that means that Mobile X, to compete, has to be able to generate a bill that is far less than that. That is the whole point about it. And that's why Peter said, Mobile X is not for everybody, because there are just those people who are hardwired, and to them it makes more sense to just be like, I don't want to worry about how much data that I'm using, so I'll just pay for unlimited. But you know what? You got to give it to people. Technically, they are right. There is no such thing as unlimited data. There really isn't such a thing. Even if someone was to say, well, Visible is unlimited data, actually, it's really not unlimited data. Visible is known to cut you off if you're a high data user, extremely high data user. They're also at the lowest priority for access, right? So even Verizon Prepaid has a higher QCI than Visible. So that's the reason why that they're able to do what they're doing at $40 a month for unlimited everything. And I say $40 because you can't calculate the party pay discounts and stuff like that. Those are discounts through doing something. If you were just to sign up for Visible and just do that on its own, you'd be paying $40 a month flat rate. So $40 a month, it's a good deal from Visible. It's awesome. I'm not trashing it, but I am just saying it's at the lowest QCI priority access. So if you go to a concert and there's 1 million people there, and 999,999 people are on Verizon, and you're the only person there with Visible, you wouldn't be able to live stream that concert or do anything like that because your priority access on Verizon's network is less than theirs. If Mobile X thrives, then eventually we would need more Mobile X type carriers. No, we wouldn't. I wouldn't want any other company to follow in that footsteps because that's what they do to hook you back in. If you haven't noticed this about prepaid companies, there's this thing that's called the hook and pull. Okay, so for instance, Metro by T-Mobile, aka Metro PCS, back in the day used to offer unlimited. Well, they still do, but like they were the first ones to offer unlimited talk, text, and their quote unlimited data for $50, taxes and fees included. Boost Mobile still charges taxes and fees, and every other prepaid carrier charges taxes and fees, right? So then Boost and everybody else switched to including taxes and fees like Metro PCS, which hooked people to come back to them, right? So where's the incentive? Well, there is none. But then what did they do differently? Well, they started creating other tier plans. Get Netflix, get Amazon Prime, get this, get that added on to get you to come back. But not only to come back, but to charge you a higher rate. Remember, $50 used to be like the standard, the highest level of prepaid that you would have to pay per month, right? Now we got $65 plans, we got $70 plans, we got almost close. They're starting to reach $100, and they all offer the same thing, and there's taxes and fees included now. But now there's additional things you're paying for. That's the hook and pull. So if Mobile X becomes popular and people actually start saving a massive amount of money, yeah, I'm sure AT&T and T-Mobile is going to create their own very similar to Mobile X. And that's just to hook and pull you back in. Once they got you back in, they're going to go right back to the same crap they've been doing. It is what it is. I mean, we've allowed that to happen. Is unlimited or do you pay for a gigabyte? It's unlocked, unlimited. You even get unlimited hotspot. You get unlimited hotspot at 5 megabits per second up and down, because that's what happened to my Visible line. That's what they fixed. That's what they were able to find out. It was like when I activated service in Visible this past week, for some reason it locked my actual main data usage as hotspot. So that's all they had to do was just take that off from my main data connection, and my speeds were normal. I'm not here to don't get me wrong, I'm not here to convince people that they have to try Mobile X. So don't feel like that because I'm laying out things. I speak in a way where I challenge people's minds to think, because there is one thing that it is for sure, and that's a lot of us have been conditioned to think one way when it comes to prepaid companies. That's why we're so hooked on the unlimited, taxes and fees included. Those are the two main keywords that a lot of us look for when it comes to prepaid. But are we really getting our money's worth, and are we wasting money annually? Some of us got money to burn, so it's not a real big deal. So then there's no problem. But then some of us do like to save money, especially for retirement. Like for me, lately, my thought processes with finances are different. I have to put things aside. Yeah, I'm turning 40 years old this year. In 2 months, I'm turning 40. Yeah, it's time for me to start putting money away for retirement. Because if I hit 60, 70 years old and I don't have money put away for a retirement, what the hell am I going to do? I'm going to have to go work a job at 60 and 70 years old. And it's not easy for a body that old to be able to produce the way that things are right now. And by then, we may not even have call centers that are manned by people. We may have things that's done by AI. My job currently right now, we have an AI system that does majority of the workload for us. We just basically just verify a lot of things and make sure. And if it's things that the AI couldn't pick, we then look at it and we approve it or disapprove the document that's been given. So we already have an AI system that's doing mass work. at my job, right? So in the future, AI can completely do call center work where there wouldn't be a need for anybody to really be there except for people to just make sure that the AI system is functional. The IT team would definitely keep their jobs, but everybody else we would lose ours, right? So when you're becoming frugal and financial conscience or consciousness, whatever, you'll look for ways to save money. And that's why, so I won't throw Mobile X down and say their idea of paying for what you use as far as data wise is a bad thing. We should just all stick to unlimited, because maybe some of us don't really care to need unlimited. Some of us do. If you're a person that absolutely just doesn't want to data calculate anything, stick with unlimited. You're golden there. You know what I mean? But if you're somebody that wants to save money, and trust me, there are people like that. There's one person that I know that's followed me for years on this channel, who in fact is very cautious with their money, and is always looking for the best way to maximize the amount of usage they can get out of a phone by paying less per month. It's a college student, and I totally get it. So when they were telling me about things like Text Now and all these other companies that have a really low rate charge for phone usage, I mean, yeah, Mobile X could work for that person, because you're only paying for what you use. And if your usage in 1 month and your normal usage at that fact, so I would tell people, if you're going to try Mobile X, don't try to condense your usage to such a small rate. Use your phone like you would normally would on an unlimited plan. That's how you're going to gauge whether Mobile X is going to work for you or not. Because if you try to say okay, I'm on Mobile X, I know that it's a per rate data type thing, and you go and you try to you don't go on Twitter so much, or you don't watch any YouTube videos and stuff like that, you're not going to get a real readout of how you use your phone. You're going to have to bite the bullet for 1 month to see how you're using it. And since you're already going to be watching Mobile X to see how much data you use, if you're hitting a threshold that if you're halfway through the month, and if you continue on, you're going to double that amount, it's going to be way too much, then just stop right there and port out to another carrier that has unlimited. You can do that. But yeah, I would say if you're going to test it out, don't cheap out on your usage. Use your phone the way you normally would use it. Connect to the Wi-Fi's that you normally connect to, and do the normal things you would do on your phone, whether on Wi-Fi or off Wi-Fi, and you'll get a good readout exactly of how things are. And if Mobile X is too pricey for you, boom, take your number to a different service. I will check out Mobile X if it makes sense. It's all about numbers. Exactly. It's all about numbers. You got to look at it. And that's what I'm saying. What I said about them having, charging for low band usage, charging for mid band, charging for millimeter wave, basically putting it in that perspective, I'm thinking that's what they are going to do. I could be wrong, because I don't know. I haven't talked to Peter. I haven't talked to him in person. I haven't talked to him on a video call. Sneed and Dennis have. They may know exactly how this is going, but I know they can't tell nobody about it. And I respect that. So I'm not going to hound the shit out of them to say, hey, tell us, especially protecting Mobile X is key here. And so even if I didn't sign an NDA, I wouldn't say anything specifically as to how it's going to go to protect Mobile X, so they come out the gate swinging, in all fairness. I'm going to tell you guys that I am exactly excited to see Mobile X launch in September, and I am excited to give it a shot to see just how it's going to work. Would I save more money on it, or would I spend about the same, or would I spend more than what I'm spending right now? Right now, if you guys want to know, I still have the Metro by T-Mobile plan. It's a family plan, and we're paying $190 a month for 4 phone lines, for 1 tablet line, and then the Metro, aka T-Mobile Home Internet. It's $190 a month. 2 visible lines, $25 each. So my spending is $240 a month for mobile phone services. That's how much I'm paying per month. Now, if Mobile X worked out to be good, would I switch over to it as my main daily driver? Hell yeah, I would. Of course I would. What would I do with the Metro by T-Mobile home internet thing? Well, you do have to keep a phone line on there. So I know my 16-year-old uses a lot of data. So he would keep the primary line, which would keep the account active. So the internet and the tablet line is active. And that's that. It's like, and there's so much crazy things that you can do, considering the fact that it's on the Verizon network, and Verizon is pretty decent in most places that you go. Some places here in my city, it's actually really bad, which is the reason why right now, I carry both the Metro by T-Mobile and the Visible line. The Google Fi line is up there. I have it for international calling. I've actually reduced the plan. So my plan changes on the 11th of this month with Google Fi. And it's going down to the Flex plan. So unlimited talk and text, I can call to family outside of the country. And then data is $10 per gig. But I have the tablet line from Metro. So that's going to bundle with that to make it a completely unlimited and not at a 50 gig cap, but unlimited, deprioed after 35 gigs if congestion happens. That is how I'm basically going to do it. So $20 plus tax, so $25 for Google Fi, $25 for Visible. That's $50 I'm going to be paying right there, and then $190 for the Metro Family Plan. Yeah, that's a good idea too. Maybe you'll be paying like, instead of paying like $20 for unlimited talk and text like Google Fi does, maybe you're paying like a $5 access for lower QCI, maybe like $5 for like QCI 9. Maybe $10 for QCI 8, or is there QCI 8? I think there is, or QCI 7, right? And then like for like the highest, maybe like $15 for QCI 6, and then it's like maybe like 20 cents per gigabyte for low band. Maybe it's 50 cents for mid band, and like $1 for millimeter wave. Maybe that's how it's going to go. And even then, when you think about it, right? You could be having a bill if your daily routine is not heavy on your phone. You could probably end up having a bill that's only like $10 a month or less. Well, $10 a month if you go to the lowest one. But if you're like, if lower than $20, possibly, who knows, right? You got to see how your usage is. That's where you'll actually find out if it's worth in savings or if it's going to cost you more, is how you use your phone. So that is, I think, the ideas that I have about Mobile X, and we'll just have to wait and see in September if that in fact is the case. There's something about McDonald's sweet tea. There are some days where they make it just right, and today's one of those days. There's days where like the tea is like overpowering the blend of sweetness. So you get that really like strong bitter taste. And then there's days where they just make it so sweet, like it's like pumping diabetes into my body. They're never consistent with their teas. I'll say that about McDonald's. Let's see. I'm gonna come to some of these things here. When will Mobile X service and SIM cards be available? Says Gene. If you didn't catch the Best Phone Plans podcast with Peter on there, he says September. First time I ever hear about Mobile X. Oh man, you out the game, because Mobile X, a lot of people's been talking about Mobile X over the past year. At the point where they made it official and Peter Adderton went public on Twitter with it after he signed a deal with Verizon, and basically said that Mobile X was no longer an idea anymore. It was now in effect. And actually, Peter Adderton and several people that he knows he has given phone lines to with Mobile X, they're all beta testing it, and he says that there are people that are absolutely happy with it. Could these be the yes men type people? Maybe they're blowing smoke up his ass because they're his friend. Who knows? But according to him, they're very content with it. Now, when I hear that, knowing that there's other companies that offer unlimited type things, hearing people are content and happy with it makes me really curious as to know how the billing structure is. That is the major thing that I want to know. Because obviously that's going to tell me if I'm going to save money with this and have the same experience that I have with my phones or if not. Well, I already answered that in September. This is the launch. It's the Liberty Mutual of cellular service. Pay for what you use. Pretty much, that's the idea. That's Peter's idea. Like his whole goal, and he's said this so many times. Follow Peter Adderton on Twitter if you guys really want to see a lot of what he's talking about with Mobile X. He's very open about his feelings and his ideas of where he wants to take Mobile X. His idea is that you shouldn't have to pay for what you don't use. And he's literally highlighted the fact that with companies like Cricket, Metro, and Boost, you are paying more money than what you actually would if you did see how you use your phone. So he's trying to pull that blanket off. He's trying to, shine the flashlight in the area where these carriers said, yeah, here's your safety net, so you know you're not going to get overcharged. He's trying to show you with this flashlight, there's no safety net there because there's nothing to fear. There's no drop. You don't have a safety net in a place where there's no opening to fall in. And that's what he's trying to show people, which I find it to be adamant. He's actually been very open about how these companies do things. I mean, he's literally laid out things that happen in boardroom meetings. I find that crazy, right? Because normally people would say, what makes Peter so different from everybody else? He's a businessman who's out to make money himself. Yes, true. It's obvious, right? You can't sit there and take everything as gospel of what he says. He's not out here doing it. Otherwise, then he would just be offering it for free because he wouldn't be needing to make money on it. Obviously, his intentions is to make money. That is true. We can't fault the man for that. Every business person is out to make money. But he has laid out like how carriers have done this thing where they've implemented things into the services that you, the consumer, are going to pay for. They don't really care about how you're paying it, what you're doing to have to pay it. They said it. They said it was. I don't want to butcher what he said because he said it so much better. Because of course he's a businessman, so he knows all the lingo and stuff like that. But I guess there's a margin, and whatever makes up the margin is coming out of your pockets, not coming out of theirs. They're not looking out for the customer. No company that ever has. And if anyone ever believed that a company is really looking out for your best interest, you've hit your head. I've had moments like that, and I'm not all there. Like, when it comes to like mobile tech and everything like that, I'm all over the place. I'm not always there. Some things I think are good and they end up being bad, and some things I say suck end up being really good. So, I don't always have it right. But I will say though, I'm very, very, very intrigued, very interested. Matter of fact, it was actually pretty cool because when Mobile X was first announced that, after Peter made the deal with Verizon, their Instagram account opened up and I instantly followed them and was like plastering Mobile X stuff on my Instagram stories, and they caught wind of it and, they were excited. I told them like, hey, yeah, I would love to test their stuff when they are able to give it out to people to test. And of course, they're doing it in waves, right? So we do know that Dennis and Sneed will end up having phones from Mobile X and we'll be able to actually test it out. So they have some insight because he even said that after they were off air from the live stream backstage, he was going to show them his phone from Mobile X and how it was working. He was going to show it to them. So like, geez, I would have loved to have just been on that podcast just to sit there and be backstage with them to see what he was going to share. And I'm pretty sure it was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely super exciting. I would really, really have loved to just been there for that. But but yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm just like, yay, let's see what happens. Just have to wait till September. But yeah, I'll be following Mobile X very closely on social media to kind of see. I know they're going to start dropping some insights and some hints. I don't know if there's specific phones that you have to use Mobile X, or can you bring an unlocked phone? If so, I'm bringing the Pixel 6 to Mobile X to try it out when it comes out. I really would love to know how much money I would save per month based on how I use things. And like my routine here at home, I have Wi-Fi. At work, I have Wi-Fi. So really, I don't need to be on mobile data when I'm at home. I choose to, like this is on visible right now and I don't have Wi-Fi turned on. And this has the other Metro line, my Pixel 4. And I don't have Wi-Fi on that one. I just use it to use it. However, if I was on something that was metered, of course I'd be connected to Wi-Fi. Why not? I'm not an idiot that like has to think like everything just has to be off mobile data, because sometimes mobile data is not always the best, and sometimes there's like congestion that happens. All in all, I would definitely say like keep your eyes open and your ears to the ground, because stuff is about to get pretty cool. Anyways, leave up the last event to just like open talk and anything that we talked about. I know Mike said that he's never really used Google Duo. And there's not really much of a difference between Duo and FaceTime. Duo is basically Google's version of FaceTime for Android users. And it's cross-platform too, so it can be downloaded on iPhones, and then you can video call like that from one Android phone to an iPhone. It is encrypted calling, so it's encrypted end-to-end. Messages. Yeah, I have a date tonight, so yeah, I wasn't sure if I was gonna podcast today, but yeah, I figured I have enough time. My date is not until tonight, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right? Shall we call it for the rest of the day? Because, oh yeah, does anyone want to see a visible speed test now? I have it in my Pixel 6. I guess I'll just do one live here for you guys before I go. So this is visible on 5G inside the house. Yeah, my Metro, aka T-Mobile Home Internet, works great here. So this is visible. It goes past 200 megabits per second, but it doesn't go beyond 250. But look at that uplink. That uplink is really good. That's good for live streaming, for sure. Right? Because just to have a decent connection for the uplink for live streaming is like 10 megabits per second. That's like 6 times, almost 7 times over the amount for sustainable live streaming. So that's visible. I'll show you Metro by T-Mobile LTE because the Pixel 4 does not support 5G. And I love using the Pixel 4. Lately, I've been really enjoying using the Pixel 4 again. Project Soli and everything is just awesome. So this is just LTE only. LTE teetering between 70 megabits per second to 80, almost 90. Maybe it'll reach 100, but I doubt it. It'll probably hang at 91. Yep. The uplink at 10 megabits per second. So this tells me that this phone is connected to LTE band 41. Band 41 has a lower uplink, but a very fast downlink, right? And so let me connect this phone real quick to the Wi-Fi, which is a T-Mobile Home Internet. So I'm turning that on right now. Oh yeah, I have the Nexus 4. I wanted to show you guys something on the Nexus 4 that I miss. Mike knows what I'm talking about when I talk about the widgets. There is a widget to turn on Wi-Fi that is like no longer an Android that they should have never got rid of. I'm gonna go grab the phone and show you here in a minute. All right, so it's connected to Wi-Fi right now. Okay. And this is the speeds on T-Mobile home internet in my home. So it's like teetering at 200. More than likely because I'm live streaming and because my kids are playing on the PS4 online. They're playing Fortnite by Uplink. So it's decent. Right? When everyone was asleep, I got almost 500 megabits per second on the downlink and about 80 on the uplink, I believe. But it's still 213 down, 54 up. That's not bad compared to like, Cox Home Internet where you were only getting like 100 on the downlink and like 10 megabits per second on the uplink for freaking $100 and something. That was pretty crappy. I wish my visible speeds are that good. They're pretty good here. Let me grab the Nexus 4 real quick. I think you guys are going to be kind of shocked on the Nexus 4 and the widget that I'm going to show you guys. I booted it up yesterday. I don't want to knock the microphone over, so let me move these cords up here. This is so much fun. This will be fun to show. Oh crap, I just stripped the whole table. Okay. Grab my headphones real quick. The Nexus 4. Lollipop 5.1.1. I'll show you guys the boot animation for the Nexus 4. Shout out to B-Tech Reviews. If you guys didn't know, he gave me this phone. So like, he got it, he used it for a while, tested it out, then he gave it to me. And so I have this, I have the Nexus 5X from him also, and then the iPhone 7 are all phones that I got from him. Right? Talk about nostalgia right there. Now, here is something that I felt like that Android should have never got rid of. That widget where you can toggle off Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, auto rotation, and auto brightness. That widget is so useful compared to having to do this all the time, right? Instead of having to go here and then tapping here and then tapping there to turn on Wi-Fi, so much easier to just turn it off from right there. So much easier. Like why did they get rid of it? Why did they get why Google? Why get rid of that? That right there. That right there? And just for shits and giggles, I put my visible SIM in here and it just didn't work. It just did not work because this is a 3G only device, right? If I pop Metro in here, it would connect to HSPA Plus. That's it. Yeah, I'm actually planning to. That's why I got it all charged up, all completely and everything. What do I use this for right now? Well, to let you guys know, I've repurposed this phone into an Android music player. It's got a headphone jack. See? So it's like, I don't know if you guys remember the Galaxy player from Samsung. It looked like a Galaxy S1, but it was a media player. It was a competitor to the iPods. Yeah. Nexus 4 repurposed as the Nexus Pod. Or the Nexus player, the true Nexus player. You can do anything. You can do anything on it right now. Connect it to Wi-Fi and make phone calls from Google Voice and stuff like that. It's totally fine to do those types of things, right? And you got YouTube Music on there. Have all my music files downloaded since it doesn't have a higher capacity storage. Like, it doesn't have 64 gigs or 128 gigs. I think this one has 32 gigs of space. 9 of it is taken up by the operating system. So you have about, like 20, 21, 22 gigs of open storage, no expandable storage with micro SD. So like, why not? Like, why not use this as like a music player? When I'm on the train ride home, some days I have to take the train home from work. When I'm on the train ride home, I can just have this plugged into these headphones and listen to music on the way home, and not have to have my phones out, because we got people nowadays on our public transit that will rob you for your smartphone. The other day, coming home from work, a lady was punched in the face by some weird ass kid who, like, if I was close enough to them, I would have grabbed and choked just choked the crap out of him. But like, he punched her in the face and snatched her phone and jumped off the train when the doors were closing, and then the train just took off. Hopefully he got caught, because public transit police was at the next stop. They got on there, took her off, started questioning her and everything like that, and so hopefully they caught the guy. So me, I'm just like, I'm not gonna. I don't really feel comfortable holding my phone out on the train. So then the train has Wi-Fi too, so I can just connect it to the train's open Wi-Fi. If I needed to like chat with somebody, I can hit them on Google Chat, listen to music, right? Then again, I wouldn't want someone trying to snatch this from me, because this is a really nice phone, and it's just so cool. The size and everything, like, I don't care that it's got a 16:9 aspect ratio and it's got bezels. I don't care. Yeah, this thing is cool as hell. And the back is glass too. I remember Chris Chavez, when he had one and he was reviewing it, he dropped it in his car to the cup holder area, and it actually cracked the back of the glass. And of course, another bit of nostalgia, LG made the Nexus 4, right? So this technically is an LG device, along with my Nexus 5X over there. Is an LG device. So I'm actually going to make a video with both this and the Nexus 5X, just kind of talking about Nexus and just how cool it is. And there it is, in all its glory, the Nexus logo. Take the NEUS out and put the PIEL, and you got Pixel. The X stays in the middle. Anyway, that's pretty cool. And I like the hidden graphic in the glass too. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera. There's like these little, looks like sparkles. It's actually embedded in the glass. It's actually pretty nice. Then also on the train ride home yesterday, there was a guy who had a Pixel 6. He had the Stormy Black version, but he looked so happy with it. I was just like, he was like just like all over the place with it, and people were staring at him because he was actually utilizing the Google features. Like, rather than using his the Gboard to text his messages, he was like literally hitting for the voice to text option, because it's so good that he was able to actually complete long paragraphs really quickly on whatever messaging app he was on. Yeah, I really like the design of the phone also. Like, I wouldn't mind if they made like how like the iPhone has like the SE, that's like a throwback. Why not have like a Pixel Nexus, right? And then this be like the first one. Same body design and everything like that, just with upgraded internals, right? How cool would it be if it had like 128 gigs of storage, and like, because of how thick it is, they were able to cram in a 4,500 milliamp hour battery and upgrade that camera sensor. That would be so cool for them to be able to do that. Hell, call it Nexus. Anyways, that's pretty much it for now, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this Saturday podcast. I will be back with another podcast on Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, I get out of work early for the last time. Now that I'm in rotation 4. So I have another training, like actual classroom environment that I'm going to be in for the next week instead of doing production work. So Wednesday, they're kicking us out early. So I'll be able to do a live stream Wednesday when I get home. And the main podcast will return next Saturday, a week from today. I'm going to be throwing a poll on Twitter on the official page, right? So I repurposed the community on Twitter to support the YouTube channel, since I'm back at it again. So yeah, the community space on Twitter is Aloha Android. And if you want to be a part of the tech chat on Google Chats, let me know by DMing me your Gmail. so I can invite you in if you wanted to chat in there. Conversations happen in there. Shout out to Sneed for being a part of it. And then also, Sneed, if you want to join the community, let me know. And yeah, I'll post a link and tag you in it on Twitter, so you can come on in and be a part of the Aloha Android community on Twitter. But yeah, good stuff there. Good stuff there. Happy Saturday, everybody. Take care. Take it easy. Love you guys very much. Enjoy your rest of your weekend. And yeah, I think that's it for now. You guys are awesome. Oh yeah, if you made it this far in the live stream and the podcast, hashtag Latrell's Corolla. Yeah. Don't believe what he says on social media. He actually has a thing for Toyota Corollas. Really, really, really loves them. Says like they're very fuel efficient, and they're just, in his opinion, gorgeous, right? So, I'll talk to you guys later. Aloha.